mindful I am. Normally I forget and then people shout at me. Okay, let's get this. Ugh. Okay, there we go. I do like Zoom. Today I had to present on Teams Live for Ernst& Young, and I hated it. I hated Teams Live. It's like I couldn't engage. I couldn't talk to the people. They didn't unmute, and I thought it was a terrible session. And then I got a message from Adrian to say, what a great session that was. And I was like, really? Anyway, it lifted my spirits, you know, when someone, it's always nice to appreciate someone, right? When someone gets praise. I think we all fall for it. You can see my arrow, right? Can you see my arrow on the screen? Okay, that's the nice thing about Zoom. I suppose you can do it on Teams, but I just don't know. It's just so easy on Zoom. So we've been working with the prefrontal cortex. You see, the breathing meditations and the body scan, whenever you focus your mind, all right, you are working, you are building, you are body building your brain in the right way here, okay? Now we are moving to this little scorpion tail part of the brain. It's called the insular to temporal pole. Now we are still going to be working the prefrontal cortex because it's still a focused meditation. But as we move into effect practices of kindness and empathy and understanding, other brain regions are affected. Up here is the parietal region of the brain. Okay, this part here is when you know is shown to be activated or grow, starts to increase in size when we practice empathy. This grows when we practice kindness. So the more we have kind thoughts, the more pronounced this part of our brain grows, and the more empathy that we have for others, this part of the brain grows. So as I said before, a neuroscientist can literally tell if you're an empathetic, kind, and focused person. Okay, can throw away your job CV. Just show them your brain scan. Okay, that's because everybody lies on their CV. So this is Daniel Goleman. He wrote a book called Emotional Intelligence back in the 1990s. It became a huge bestseller, and the corporate world really took it to heart, because in the book, Daniel Goleman did a lot of research, and he showed that emotionally intelligent people are way more advanced in the workplace than smart people, than IQ, than high IQ people, high IQ proficient people. He said EQ is one of the best predictors of success at work and fulfillment in life, and it's trainable. So that's pretty cool. If this is the number one key of success in life and in work, and it's trainable, I want to know more. You know, this is the secret to success. They also found that 90% of top leaders in successful organizations have high emotional intelligence, which far exceeds their IQ counterparts. In the book, he stated that employers value emotional intelligence over IQ because people can remain calm, they can resolve conflict, they are empathetic to their colleagues, they lead by example, and they may put more consideration into business decisions. Okay. Has anybody here ever done an EQ training course?
Yes.
You have?
I've done that. Yes.
So Anna-Marie, what do you remember of that course? If you don't mind sharing with us, is there something that stands out for you when you did the course?
You know, it was quite some time ago, but
Okay.
I think it's also the awareness and don't react and
Okay. Similar to what we're talking about.
Mm.
Okay. Um, Kathy, did you do one as well? Did you say you did one?
Yes, I did. Also very much years ago, but what I also remembered is the same as you say, when to use which part of your brain. And I also found that very, very interesting. I always thought a brain is a brain. You've got a left side and a right side,
Yeah.
but it is when to dial up certain parts in order to use emotions and then effectively use your emotions.
Wow. Awesome. That sounds really interesting.
Mm.
Hmm. Anybody else do an EQ course at any time? What you remember?
And also the different parts of the brain, you know,
Okay.
like the brain stem and the limbic system and the
Yeah.
neocortex. Yes.
Okay. Nice. Well, it sounds like you did. It was a good course. I've done a few, and they were terrible. I even went online on YouTube and I looked. I looked at emotional intelligence training. I was so disappointed. And the reason why I was disappointed is because they were telling me the benefits of being emotionally intelligent and what happens to my brain, etc. But they didn't give me the how. They gave me the why and the what, but they didn't give me the how. And my question is, how, if EQ is trainable, how do I train in EQ? What do I do? Surely there's something I can do every day if it's trainable. You know, I'm waiting for the big moment. Ta-da! This is what you do, and no one in the EQ training ever told me that. So I'm like, thanks for the intro, and then they end. And some of the best TED Talks really just fell flat for me. So I'm interested in the how, right? Like we looked at the class on innovation. Don't tell me about design thinking. Don't tell me about innovative, creative thinking. I understand it's important. Please give me the how. How do I become more innovative? How do I become more creative? That's what I want to know, because then I need to train in it. With EQ, I want to know what can I do every day to grow my emotional intelligence. Okay? And that's where mindfulness comes in. You know, I check in with you guys, not because I'm really, I mean, I am interested, but I want you to grow that as your own ability to check in with yourself. This was done for APSA a couple of years ago. I think it's APSA artwork that I've stolen. So Nicole Temlet, please don't tell anyone. But I thought this was pretty cool. In wellness, Zanele Mlangeni shared this with me, and I thought it was great. You know, the hearts, the color hearts, like green hearts, I'm doing great. Blue heart, I'm okay. Yellow heart, I'm okay. Purple heart, things are tough. Orange heart, I'm struggling. Red heart, having a hard time. Wouldn't mind if someone reached out to me. Black heart, I'm in a bad place right now. I used to run these check-ins quite regularly with APSA to get people to open up, or to get team leaders within the organization to do this with their colleagues or their team. Because everybody was online, nobody knows, like, if you're okay, I can see you, but actually APSA, Nicole Temlet, everyone puts their cameras off. I think it's the same in every big organization. Nobody wants their camera on. Nobody knows what anyone's going through. So we have these meetings, but we don't know what our colleagues are experiencing. So I think it's really, really important that we check in with ourselves, and then we check in with our colleagues. And there's different techniques. This is one of them. I always ask you what your number is. You know, that's an easy one. My son, he's 14, nearly 15 years old. He's on the spectrum. So he's got a brush of autism, but he's high functioning. But the worst thing for him is to talk about his feelings and his emotions. So when I pick him up from school, I'll say, "How are you?" "I'm fine." "What did you do?" "Nothing much." You know, I mean, that's the day. I think most kids are like that. You don't have to be on the spectrum. But now when I pick him up from school, I ask him, "What's your number?" And at least then I have more insight. And then he says if he's this number or that number, I'll say, "I think, do you want to talk about it? If you're a low number, do you want to talk about it?" Suicide is the leading cause of teenage death in the world, right? So my mission is to also, my father died of suicide. I would really love to help our kids, protect our kids. And one of the ways to do that is to get them to talk and to open up and to share what they're going through and not make them feel awkward or embarrassed or ashamed to do so. So if we have a solid practice of checking in with each other as a family, as a community, as an organization, we might be able to save lives. And we are encouraging that it's okay to not be okay. Okay? So if someone checks in your team or your family in a low number, make them feel that they are brave. Make them feel that they are a champion because they are being authentic, they are being honest, and perhaps they are reaching out for help. And in the words of Charlie Mackesy, asking for help is not giving up, it is refusing to give up. I love that. Asking for help is not giving up, it's refusing to give up. And the bravest thing you can say is help. And sometimes the bravest thing we can do is to take the brave face off. And that is the mindful revolution that we are living in, where people are playing and experimenting with vulnerability and the big phrase, "It's okay to not be okay." I guess it's okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to not be okay all the time, you know. And that's where we need to get help and get okay, but to acknowledge that it's okay if people are not okay. Do you know that 5 out of 6 people in the office, in the workplace, will lie to their managers if they take a mental health day, if they're struggling, they'll say something else. They say, you know, "I've got flu" or whatever. There's other ways to check in. You can get people to choose a word. This is a word wheel, emotions wheel. People can say, you know, if you're struggling to find a word that you don't know what that is. Some people don't know how they feel. You know, they don't really know. "Oh, I don't know what I'm feeling." So if we look at the mindfulness definition, we've been going over non-reactivity. We are now looking at open-hearted as part of the model of how mindfulness grows. And if you think of mindfulness as a magnifying glass, okay, the ability to focus. But magnifying glasses are useless if we don't focus them on something. So we are focusing on the heart, on EQ. I just think emotional intelligence is just being a damn nice person. You know what I mean? But there's more to it than that, right? Because if you look at this model, self-awareness is the first pillar of emotional intelligence. Then self-management. So self-awareness is mindfulness. And self-management is mindfulness. Being aware of oneself. How am I feeling today? What's my number? That's mindfulness. Oh, I'm a 2 out of 3. Well, what am I going to do today? Well, then today I'm not going to attend that many meetings. I'm going to manage myself better and I'm going to practice more self-care. I might even stay at home. Okay? With self-awareness, then how do we manage ourselves? Then interpersonal awareness and interpersonal management. If I'm on a low scale, maybe I shouldn't be having that confrontational meeting with my colleague today because I'm feeling not so good. They might be feeling fine, but there could be conflict. Okay, and to manage that, I will postpone the meeting until tomorrow when I'm feeling better, or 2 days' time. And it might be when you're answering an email. You might get a snotty email. You're very angry. What are you going to do? You're going to buy yourself some time. You're not going to respond to that email immediately. It might only be the next day where you manage to calm down. And then you are emotionally intelligent. I'll never forget as a managing director of an advertising business, this young guy wants a raise. And he picked the worst day to ask me. Like I was having a meltdown. I was almost in tears. And this young guy asks me for a raise, and I tell him to get out of my office. So what happened is he woke up in the morning. He was a 9 out of 10. He was self-aware. He thought, today's the day I'm going to ask the boss for a raise. He got to work, but his interpersonal awareness was shocking because he could see I wasn't happy. But he still asked me for a raise, and he didn't get one. You see? Well, eventually he did, but he just picked the wrong day. So that, I mean, it's a very simplified version of how emotional intelligence plays itself out. If I wake up and I'm a 9 out of 10 and I'm feeling good, then I might be able to tackle bigger projects today. I can handle those difficult meetings. And maybe if I realize that my colleagues are not doing great, I can take on some of their responsibilities and buy them lunch or something. You see? Kathy? Yeah?
Mark, just in my experience, now I'm trying to fit all the blocks together.
Okay.
We say self-awareness. Now it's fine to be self-aware, oh, I'm a 6 today or I'm an 8 today. But don't you think very more important to that is the actual personality traits? And why do certain people react to a situation different to other people?
Yeah.
And in the mindfulness, it becomes specifically once we're going to start teaching it. How do you teach mindfulness I've seen you in action with people you don't know from a bar of soap. Now, I'm wondering if I have to go teach this to 20 people I don't know from anywhere, how do you land the message not knowing their actual personalities and their values? To me, it's very, very important in building a relationship with somebody, understanding their personal values. Now, if I'm going to be doing this and I don't have that background, what does this self-awareness help?
I think it's important for yourself. When I talk about self-awareness, this is Kathy's self-awareness, right? And Kathy's management in dealing with the interpersonal management and interpersonal awareness. I do have a wonderful model, Kathy, that I can share with you. It's based on Ken Wilber's integral approach.
Right.
And there's 4 areas where people come into a meeting or they connect. But they connect. So there's the eagle, where it's a person who sees the big picture. It's a bee, that's a doer. It's an owl, who's very much about their own values and how does this affect them. And then there's a wolf, who likes community and to look after the pack. So it's very simplified, but I'm more than happy to jump on a session with you and unpack those and how you can. There's even a survey that one can do. And you know, so it works out that you might be a 70% bee, a little bit of wolf, a little bit of eagle, you know, so no one is like a pure wolf or a pure eagle. They've got parts, but if you know that this person is a doer, they're not going to be interested in the big picture. They say, right, let's get going, you know, let's get it done. And the eagle is like, no, hang on. How does this fit into, I think you're an eagle person by what you just said. You know, how does this all fit into the bigger picture? And how, you know, I'm hearing eagle talk from you, right? Whereas the owl's like, well, what does this mean to me? So, Kathy, I mean, I'm more than happy to take you through that. It's actually a fascinating model by Ken Wilber, and we've run this for an international client a couple of years back, and it was quite successful. But it
Thank
does,
you.
yeah,
Okay, Mark, can
yeah,
you just repeat the different animals and what they stand for? You said
yes.
that.
You know what? Maybe I should run it. I'll give you guys um, I'll send you the slides, Anna Marie. I've got the
Okay.
slides. Kathy, I'll
Okay.
send you the slides, and if you guys want to talk about it, I'm more than happy to chat. And if there's more than one person who wants to talk about it, then we can organize another group session. Okay, no problem.
Thanks, Mark. I'll appreciate that.
No, it's fascinating. It's a wonderful model. And it's so much around self-awareness, because even when I did it with my colleagues, I was like, oh shit, you see, Adrian's the wolf and I'm the eagle and Grant's the doer. And all of a sudden we started to understand each other and not blame each other. I was like, now I know how to talk to Grant. I've got to talk to Grant around action stuff. And with Adrian, I've got to talk about how do we keep everything together, our community, and how do we protect each other and look after each other. And with me, the guys have to talk about big picture all the time, you know. So it was really illuminating, and it brought a lot of awareness into our own business and our personalities. There are lots of personality profile models. I think there's obviously Myers-Briggs. I know, Rose, you do Enneagram. Surely these are all parts of the self-awareness pillar, right? Yeah, I mean, I think there's so many brilliant models for self-awareness, and it's true, Kathy. I mean, it's more than just knowing what your number is on any particular day. It's also your type of personality.
Yes.
But again, these personalities change over time. So I also get I sort of I'm also have that in the back of my mind that you might have done the Myers-Briggs 10 years ago. You got to do it every year or every 5 years, right? Because you could be you're changing. You're a changing being.
In our organization, we use Lumina, and
Okay.
you do change. Obviously, you do change, or depends
Yeah.
on your circumstances. The team you work in, you adapt to the team you work in,
Yeah.
but your default setting literally stays
Cool.
the same.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're extroverted person naturally,
Yeah.
and you work with the introverted group, you can go introverted. Now, to have that self-awareness, I'm an extrovert person.
Yeah.
Now I have to have this mindfulness discussion with the introvert. I'm going to have to adjust in my delivery method, or I'm going to overtake the whole conversation and lose that individual's voice in the.
Yes.
But I see Nicole's got her hand up. I'll keep quiet now. Thanks, Mark. I'll appreciate the slides.
Okay. Nicole?
I wonder if I can offer something in terms of my experience of mindfulness, which
Sure.
is that to me, mindfulness speaks more as human being to human being. And it's less about personality and personality type and more about the interconnectedness of us as human beings. And that at the end of the day, there's way more similar to us than there is different. And it's for me about with any coaching client that I have, the mindfulness principles bring me back to the essentials of just being a human being, because everyone can relate to these principles. Doesn't matter whether you're an extrovert or an introvert, and I think you've also touched on a key thing, which is that sometimes in terms of, oh God, John Kabat-Zinn had this incredible quote about, you're going to start practicing mindfulness and you're going to love it so much, you're going to want to tell everybody about it. And at that point in time, just shut up, go back and meditate some more. And he's somehow there's something to do with embodiment as well. So
Yeah.
Eventually, after practicing mindfulness for some time, and you start, it starts seeping into your body and you start really living it, you'll find that when you communicate about it, it may come out in more of a way that people can relate to it, no matter what personality you have and they have, because they can actually see and experience the changes in you, or the fact that when you speak it, you live it. And that is actually more appealing to people, the felt sense of, wow, look at this person, how they engage in their life. I want that too, you know? So I don't know, it's my 2 cents that it's very much a connecting human experience for me. And I hope that helps, just to allay any fears that, you know, one needs to be a certain way to practice it, because I think at the end of the day, it just goes to show that you don't have to try and do anything, actually.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, listening, mindful listening. If we are truly present with someone, we are not just listening, but we're reading between the lines as well. We're looking at their body language, we're looking at their eyes, we're looking at their facial expressions. There's so much that we are picking up about that person that is speaking volumes, because we are truly present. You know, if we're not truly present, we're going to miss a lot of that nonverbal communication. So there's so much we do, and I think that's just on the back of what Nicole was saying. So thanks for adding that, Nicole. And another point is, you know, it's so right what she says, because if you start practicing loving kindness or kindness for others or yourself, and you're working, say, with a particular difficult person in your life, as you practice more and more, Nicole said, you become embodied. So you start to soften around that person, and you might not even notice it yourself, but they will pick it up. You know, people are like dogs. They can smell emotion. Like, you know, I think we pick up stuff about each other and we don't understand how we do it, but we do it. And then there's a softening or a feeling of embodiment, as Nicole said. And that can ease the conversation and affect the other person in a very positive way, because we are doing the work on ourselves, you know? Yeah, I love this conversation. Thank you. And Kathy, you brought up a wonderful point. So I really appreciate, and I see you put something in the chat there as well. Thank you. Very powerful. And I'll share this model with you as well. There are many models, but anyway, I still enjoyed that one by Ken. Ken Wilber is actually a famous mindfulness advocate. I think you know him, Rose. You sort of shake. Yeah, he's a strange-looking guy, but a wonderful. He's been in the game of meditation and mindfulness for years, right?
Have you watched the movie, Mark?
The movie.
Yes, the one with it's the story of Ken Wilber and his wife,
Oh no.
called Grit and Grace.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yes, it's so beautiful.
Grits
And my favorite line in that movie is
Yeah.
when she says to him, "You transcend me."
Oh wow.
I mean, yeah. So if you're a Ken Wilber fan, you have to watch the movie.
Well, there we go. I'm sold. I'll be looking for it. Thank you.
What is it called? Grit and Grace.
Yeah. Grit and grace. I'm going to make a note of that as well. Grit and grace. Very cool. I love Ken Wilber. So smart. Okay. But I must say, my colleague Grant is very smart as well. So he took that integral model and he actually came up with little animals, because there's no animals in the integral model, but he made it. He looked at the values and he said, "Oh, that sounds like a bee, and that sounds like an eagle," and so it was so smart what he did. It was really clever. And we ran it for one of the biggest global companies in the world, Givaudan, and they loved it. It was amazing. Self-awareness and self-management. Okay, this comes down to, you know, the old story of if you're on the airplane and the oxygen mask falls down. In the case of emergency, place the oxygen mask on yourself first before you place it on somebody else. Now, I ask moms this question all the time, and they're like, no, we would put it on our kids first, you know. I'll say, but that's not the right thing to do. We need to be looking after ourselves. Self-care. We need to be doing our meditation in the morning, our coffee meditation, our mindful eating, our mandala practice. Our wellness comes first. And if we don't make time for our wellness, we'll be forced to make time for our illness, as we know. So your wellness comes first. I mean, if you think about it, what is the most important thing in your life? It's you. It has to be you. It has to be you. There's a song like that, isn't it? It's got to be you. It has to be you. Because if you're not okay, your family's not going to be okay. And then they're going to have to pick up the pieces. It has to be you. You've got to look after yourself. And we're all waiting for that person to show up that's going to fix everything. Well, no. So many of us get disappointed. My husband doesn't tell me this and doesn't tell me that, and my wife doesn't say how wonderful I am, and I wish she would say more. And you know what? A lot of the time they're not going to say these things, but we can say these things to ourselves, and we can be there for ourselves. But our self-kindness and our self-compassion is often very low. And there's a big thing about burnout. I mean, I've been doing a lot of research on burnout, built a lot of programs on burnout. Do you know that one of the biggest causes of burnout is low self-worth? Because we push and we try and prove to everybody that we are good enough. So we'll work longer hours, we'll take on more, we'll juggle more balls, but the more and more balls we juggle, we're going to drop. We're going to drop those balls, and that's when we start to crash. I was in hospital for burnout. I spent days in hospital for burnout. I thought I was having a heart attack. I pushed so hard that I completely burnt out. I don't know if anyone here has ever suffered from burnout. Yeah. It's terrible. I mean, it's a physical, you feel like you're dying. If it gets to a point where you just, adrenal failure, you know, your palpitations. I mean, it's just next level. It's horrible. I don't know if anybody has any other symptoms that they experienced. And, you know, and lack of boundaries. So from low self-worth, lack of boundaries, and then this is all due to not taking care of ourselves. You know, if we're going to be answering our phone, our work phone, after 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock at night, we're going to be answering it. That's how we're educating people on how to treat us. We are telling them that they can abuse us, you know. Anyway, boundaries. Any comments or questions on that? What do you think is the cause of low self-worth? Your parents, your teachers? What happened to you when you were young? I've got really bad self-worth problems, really bad. I don't know. Where do you think low self-worth comes from?
I think for me, it could come from when I was young. My father used to always say, "You're a girl, you don't need to study.
What?
You don't need to do this." So I think just some of his comments maybe led me to believe that maybe I'm not good enough to do certain things. But at the end of the day, I think I went out of my way to prove that I can do it, and I can do it better than you thought I could.
Wow.
So it had a bit of an opposite effect with me, I think.
Well, good for you. I suppose he was just kind of, you know, it was that time. I don't know. The world has changed since we were kids a lot, but still, Nicole, not the most helpful thing to say, but in your case it was. Yeah, I remember trying to please everybody, being a people pleaser, but being forced into things I didn't want to do. And because I didn't want to do those things, I was bad at them. And then, like rugby, I hated playing rugby, couldn't stand it, hated it. I never had the heart to crush someone's bones, you know, even though I'm a big guy. And then my grandpa, who was a great rugby player, would come and watch me. And I just felt like every time he come to watch me, I disappointed him, you know, and that affected my self-worth. Then I felt like useless, you know. Yeah, I don't know. There's so many things that affect. I mean, if you think about it, that inner critic voice in your mind, whose voice is it? Is it a parent? I don't know. Like, I've never really stopped to think about who is that self-critic, and would you? I mean, do you say things? Let me put it this way. Would you say the same things to your best friend as you say to yourself? No, I don't think so. I recall, you know, saying to myself, "Get off the couch, you lazy shit. Go to gym." Like, I'd never say that to someone, you know. During the pandemic, I really caught myself. I was on the beach, and my son was learning how to surf, and he was doing okay. He was standing up and he was surfing. And I thought to myself, I've always wanted to surf. I want to book a surfing lesson. I'm going to do that. And then immediately I had this dialogue that said, no, you're too fat, you're too old, you're going to hurt yourself, everyone's going to laugh at you. And I was like, hey, who's saying that? So I booked the surfing lesson, and unfortunately Ramaphosa closed the beaches down the next day. So I never got to go. Never got to go. But just to catch yourself, you see, in order to catch that inner critic, one needs to have mindful awareness. Chade Menteng from Google said, when we practice mindfulness and we understand what's happening in our mind, what thoughts are arising, we can catch that and go, that wasn't very nice. I said that to myself. That wasn't very nice. I owe myself an apology. That was a bully tactic. Yeah. So,
And look, I think parents that are not self-aware, you know, they want to motivate the child, but then instead they break their spirit.
yeah.
Why aren't you like your brother, or you can do better, or you disappoint me, or whatever?
Yeah. Parents are a big one. Absolutely. So much so. And, you know, it's it, it's not their fault either, right? I mean, we talk about emotional literacy, being emotionally literate. And I think the kids are, you know, they're learning LO at school and life orientation skills. It's so much more advanced than the things that we learned at school. My kid was talking about they're doing some scales in algebra, and he said, Dad, do you think I'll ever use this in my life? And I said, probably not. And then it got me thinking, you know, why do they go through such advanced mathematics when maybe they should be going through advanced EQ training or advanced emotional literacy classes? Surely that would serve them better than something they will probably never use again, ever, unless they're a pilot or an accountant. You know what I mean? Like, what do we base our education on? If we go back to Daniel Goleman's statement that one of the best predictors in life is EQ, maybe this is what they should be focusing on instead of advanced math. I don't know. That's just me. You're welcome to tell me I'm an idiot. And I'll tell you, I'm not an idiot because I practice self-love. Another form of conditioning I must add comes from childhood, and I'll tell you mine. But please don't be upset because I'm not knocking the church. I'm a Catholic. I'm a Catholic, and you know, and I've practiced Buddhism, but I'm a Catholic. I grew up in a Catholic framework, and I was so Catholic. Nicole, you live in Bedford View, don't you? So I went to St. Benedict's back in the day, where we still had priests as teachers, and every Wednesday we had to go and confess our sins. And I was only 9 or 10 years old, but it would give me such anxiety because every Wednesday I'd be thinking, I'm going to have to tell the holy man some bad stuff, but I don't know what to tell him. So I was thinking, what's wrong with me? 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 Oh yes, I hurt my sister. Okay, there we go. And that's number 1. Number 2, what else did I do wrong? What else did I do wrong? What's wrong with me? What's wrong? So I'm for like 2 days, or 3 days, I'm brainstorming what's wrong with me. So I can make the holy man happy when I see him. Because if I say nothing, he's going to look at me like I didn't do my homework. And then I took a Tibetan monk into a church, beautiful stained glass windows and everything. And he said, "What are those rooms over there on the right?" I said, "Those are confessionals. We go there to confess our sins." He goes, "Oh, very good. Purification of bad karma. Very good, very good." And then he looks on the left-hand side and he says, where are the other rooms? So I said, "Which are those ones?" He goes, "The rejoicinals, where you tell the holy person all the good things that you do." So I said, "No, we don't have those." He goes, "You don't have rejoicinals?" Oh no, then that's missing. So that got me thinking. Got me thinking, right? We need rejoicinals. Because the thing is, if you think that you want to celebrate good qualities about yourself, you're told that that's ego. So let's take a moment, and I'm gonna ask you a question tonight. What do you love about yourself? What are you grateful for about yourself? I'm grateful for my kindness and the fact that I'm generous and that I like to make people happy. Catherine, what are you grateful for about yourself? What do you love about yourself? There you go.
I will start off by saying what I appreciate and love about myself. I'm a really good manifester. And even in times when it's quite tough or it's unpleasant and I'm feeling itchy, scratchy, and I'm not feeling the love with the people around me or in that situation, I can still bring myself to a centered point and see something being manifested differently. I have no idea how I'm going to make it happen. I can just see the end result. And then I just put all my focus into that, and then that ends up happening.
Wow.
And then I think I might have mentioned before, my personal mantra: start with love and end with love. I will be honest, this past month I've had some testing times when I've reminded myself of that, and I've gone, no, I don't need to be reminded of that right now. But yeah, that's the second thing that I appreciate about myself.
Nice.
That's it.
I'm going to ask everyone, so none of you are getting off the hook, okay? Kerry, what do you like about yourself?
For me, it would be my ability to understand and empathize with what people are going through. Even if that situation impacts me, I have the ability to kind of step out of that and focus on them for that moment.
Nice, nice. Thanks, Kerry. Thank you. Rose?
I like the fact that I have a pure heart. And I sense that other people tap into that because I can hold my own darkness and others too with no judgment.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Rose. Anna-Marie, let's celebrate something about you. What are you going to celebrate?
A willingness to keep on trying and to make the best of life and everything, and also the belief that every person has, good in them.
Nice. Beautiful. Thanks, Anna-Marie. Nicole Temlet?
I'm grateful that I'm always willing to try new things and go to new places. Keeps my life very exciting and interesting. And I'm also a generous person.
Nice. I can vouch for that because I see you on Facebook going to all these wonderful places, and then you make me so jealous. Kathy, what are you going to celebrate about yourself today?
I think it's my strength. I'm told, and I consider myself a very strong person, and I personally feel, maybe it's the organization I work in, the world is becoming very. I actually listened to a thing on the radio the other day. We're using such soft words for everything. Nobody dies, people pass on. No, everything is wrapped in cotton wool. And I'm not scared to have that difficult conversation. What I have learned from mindfulness is to have it with a kind heart. And that's what I'm grateful for. To use my strength when it's needed, but using my mindfulness to deliver it humanly.
Lovely.
That's what I'm grateful for.
Lovely, lovely, beautiful, nice. Nicole Mansour?
The question was, what do you love about yourself, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I love it all. I love the good, the bad, and the ugly because it's all part of me, and it's all parts are welcome, and I'm just extremely grateful to have this life, and it's all part of it. So yeah,
Nice.
I love it all.
Wow, that's really healthy. It sounds so. That's great. Was it difficult to do this question? It's more difficult than what am I grateful for? You've been doing your gratitude journals. Have any of you celebrated yourself in your gratitude journals? Nope. I'm grateful for my bed, grateful for my car, grateful for my partner, but nobody said anything about themselves in their gratitude journal. Nope. You know why?
I think it's more difficult. If you had to ask me, Kathy, what don't you like about yourself? I could have given you a long list. But to say what you like about yourself is more difficult.
You know why, Kathy? Because we got negativity bias. We know all the wrong things with ourselves, but when we do good, it's like, nah, don't, I mustn't celebrate that. And it's also our conditioning. I mean, my conditioning is from the church. Don't celebrate that because that's ego, that's evil. It's not. If you read Atomic Habits by James Clear, it's one of the biggest best-selling books on the planet. And he says, you've got to celebrate your wins. You've got to love what you do. I just made someone the most amazing dinner. Wow. I helped a colleague at work. Wow. How great is that? I'm so happy, and I'm sharing my joy with everybody. And, You know, some people I ask and say, I love my beautiful eyes and I love my beautiful long hair. You know, some people get like really, and I like that. If people think they're beautiful and they say they're beautiful, well, God bless. Why not? What's wrong with that? You know, I don't know. I suppose if you think like Donald Trump, I mean, I'm the greatest president ever lived. Maybe that's a problem, right? You know the difference between ego and just sort of, I guess, celebrating oneself. Ego often puts other people down, and it's very warped and over dramatized. But I don't think we do that. I think we just keep it real and celebrate yourself, right? I can buy myself flowers and in the sand, talk to myself for hours. You see the songs that are coming out, they're all about loving yourself, you know. Thanks, Nicole. I am a musician, and there's always a soundtrack in my mind, so please forgive me. And remember this guy. Anybody remember this guy? Crazy Fool. Used to be in the A-Team. Dun, 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 dun.
B.A. Baracus.
B.A. Baracus, yeah. You always used to shout at that other crazy guy. I think, yeah. Crazy Fool, sucker fool. You know?
Mark, did you meet them when they came out to South Africa?
Oh, I didn't. Did you?
I had the pleasure of meeting them. My father was a photographer at the time,
Oh, nice.
and I was quite young. I think I was about 14, 15,
Yeah.
and I was in such awe of, what was his name? Face.
Face. Yeah.
With the hair that just was in place. It didn't go, it didn't go out of shape or anything like that.
Yeah.
And they met at the old Rancho grounds, and someone pushed him
Oh.
at the press conference, and he had this moment in front of everyone,
Oh, wow.
and it just changed my perception about him.
Oh,
The
wow.
age of 15, this perfect looking person who was gorgeous and beautiful, and must be smart to be playing in this TV show.
Yeah.
And seeing him, actually, as you were talking about earlier, it was a human like everyone else. And then it brought everything back down to perspective again. But they had the entire team there, including Baracus as well.
That's cool. So, I don't know if anyone's seen Eat, Pray, Love with Julia Roberts, where she's sitting in the ashram and she's trying to meditate, but she's having this dialogue in her head. Everyone's like so spiritual, and there's a war going on in my head, and I can't even focus for 1 minute, and like this whole big thing. Anyway, I traveled the Himalayas, and I landed up in a Buddhist temple for 3 years. And I lived there. And for 3 years, I was meditating, and sometimes with monks. And I recall that when I tried to meditate, I would focus on my breathing or a mantra or whatever. And I really thought that the purpose of meditation, even though I'd spent 3 years in a temple, I really believed that the purpose of meditation was focus on one thing. And if you get distracted, you lose. You're not supposed to be distracted. You've got to stay focused on that one thing. Otherwise, you fail. Now, if you think about it, when your mind wanders, when you're meditating and you bring it back, it does kind of feel like a bit of a drag. Damn it, my mind wandered. Well, that's how it was for me anyway. And then actually I had that voice in my head in the temple as this was happening. As my mind was wandering, I'd hear, crazy fool, sucker fool, you can't meditate. And when you move into the teacher aspect or the facilitator aspect, people are going to come to you and they're going to say, Rose, I can't meditate. People are going to say that. I tried it and I can't. That's what people are going to say. And then you're going to know that they've been given bad instruction. Because everybody thinks that meditation is about calming your mind completely. It's not. It's not. It's how you recover. And that is resilience. Isn't that resilience? It's how you recover. It's how you bounce back. It's not how many times you get distracted. It's how you come back. So when I realized that, instead of saying, crazy fool, I started to go, nice, Mark. You noticed your mind has wandered and you brought it back. Congratulations. Fist pump. Now, if we're talking about emotional intelligence, I started to rewire what I was saying to myself. Instead of saying idiot, fool, because I was meditating on calling myself a fool. That was my meditation, bringing myself down for 3 years. Started to build my self-worth by saying, nice, Mark. Yeah, your mind did wander, but you found it again and you came back. Thumbs up. Awesome. And I can tell you the majority of people that have been taught meditation in this world, they don't do that. They feel like failures. And their minds will wander and will wander. And as every single mind has the same condition, it will wander. Yes, I do believe it's possible. And there are monks that I meditated with who can place their mind on one thing and it doesn't move. Okay? Cool. Next life, maybe. Not this life. Not this life of corporate, not this life of working 9 to 5, not this life of having a child. I don't think so. I think if I lived in a cave or a retreat facility, yes, I could, but not this life. And I want to live in this life. So the most powerful form of self-compassion was saying to myself over and over again, you're doing great. Yes, you're winning. Your mind wandered and you brought it back. You're winning. You're winning. Well done. Well done. Well done. Well done. Do you know what that did for my confidence? Massive improvements. Like almost immediately. I started celebrating my wins more than my losses. I started congratulating myself more on a daily basis because I sit in my morning breath meditation and I congratulate myself 80 times or more for coming back to the breath. Does that make sense? And that's how you build self-awareness. That's how you start loving yourself, which is the first two components of the EQ model, self-awareness and self-management. Next week, we'll go into the other components of other awareness and other management, which is really to do with loving kindness. But first is to love ourselves. Because if we don't love ourselves, no one's going to love us. You know, that's the most tired cliche in the world, right? But it's true. How do we do it? I'm interested in the how. Don't tell me love yourself. Oh, okay, how? How? But you've got to love yourself, Mark. Thank you. But how? If we think of neuroscience, we have to do the work. We have to reprogram the mind. We have to rewire the brain. Give me the how. How do I change this? How do I change this inner critic? Through study? Through education? Or is it through practice? That's how. And sometimes you find yourself speaking your truth more. And I can't guarantee that you won't get into trouble more. Okay? You probably are going to get into trouble more because you'll feel more confident. You'll feel that your voice matters. And you know what? You won't need to defend yourself anymore, because no matter what anybody says, nah, I love myself. I know my self-worth. I don't base my self-worth on what other people think. I know who I am. And as Kathy said, values is also a big part of that. Big part of that. To know your values, massive part of self-worth. Because if you stand for something, what did Malcolm X say? If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for everything. Yeah. Are there any comments or questions?
Mark, can I ask you a personal question?
Sure.
Because it's stopping my meditation, yeah. When in your life did you do this 3 years in the Himalayas?
I actually came back from the Himalayas, and I was as broke as a church mouse. And I approached a place in Fordsburg in 2000. It was the year 2000. And I moved in to this temple. It's still there. You can still visit it. It's very interesting. It's a Tibetan temple. And the Dalai Lama visited there once. And I got the opportunity to meet him. He came and he blessed the place. And I was there from 2000 to 2003.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I used to teach. That's where I started teaching, was from there. It's a beautiful
I've got a very visual mind. And every time you say in the temple, I'm trying to picture you in the temple, but I can't get you in the temple in my mind because I don't know when it was.
Yeah, I was also in the temples in the Himalayas. So I was 4 months in the temple in the Himalayan mountains. And then I came back home, and I was too naughty to be a monk though, Kathy.
I can believe that.
I was more a monkey. But yeah, it was an interesting experience. Being in a temple for that long. It's still a war zone. People think, oh, it must be so peaceful living in a retreat community. No, not at all. It's a war zone. Yeah. You can imagine all the politics in the church behind the scenes. Yeah. Wherever there are humans, there's problems. Wherever there's a mind and afflictions, there are problems. But a wise man once, or a wise person once said, if we can't cover the world in leather, we can cover our feet in leather. We can protect ourselves. And that's why we do mindfulness. We wear our shoes so that wherever we go, we are protected. Nothing can harm us. You see? Because we've got non-reactivity, non-judgment, and open-heartedness. Nothing's going to harm you. Nothing. Okay, let us practice the I'm winning at this meditation. Okay, nice meditation. Let's try that. Okay, which is so cool because it follows on from the non-striving practice we did last week. Give up trying to be perfect. Give up trying that 100, because if you push for 100% focus, you know what happens? You fail. You get angry. You get miserable. If you let go and you say, I don't want to focus that hard, happy days. And if my mind wanders, it's okay. It's cool because I can bring myself back and I'm happy about that. This is how we rewire the brain. This is how we fall in love with ourselves. And I can't think of another way besides affirmations. You can say affirmations, right? Okay, maybe we'll add a few affirmations as well, right? Okay. All right, let's practice our meditation, and then that's the end of the session. Choosing your comfortable seat. And let us take in a nice deep breath in through the nostrils. Slowly exhaling it out the mouth with control. Coming back to a natural breath. We are coming back to our breath meditation. Breathing in, I know I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I know that I'm breathing out. I relax my focus so it's not so severe. I am aware, soft cotton wool focus. And now, for the next few moments, I'm going to be silent because you're going to do the work. And the work is every time your mind wanders to something else, whether it's a sound, a sensation, or a thought, you might be there for a while, but you're going to bring yourself back to the breath. And when you come back to the breath, say to yourself, nice, nice, well done. Okay, try that. And it doesn't matter how many times you get distracted. What matters is that you tell yourself, nice, well done for recovering. Let's try that now. Keep your mind, remember your breath is the anchor into this practice and into the present moment. And we're just waiting for the mind to move so we can congratulate ourselves for coming back. All right, let's end this now with a nice deep breath in and release. And when you're ready, gently blinking the eyes open. Celebrate yourself, come on, do 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 do. It's a celebration. You know the song? I changed the words, by the way, but anyway. Have a party. There's a party going on right here. A celebration to last for all the year. You know, a friend of mine, he drank like half a bottle of Klipdrift and Coke, and he was really drunk. And he said to me, "You'll never be happy if you're not happy." But it was pretty profound because happiness is a practice. To feel good about yourself is a practice. And there's two things in mindfulness that will make change happen: awareness and repetition. We know that with everything, even sport, good sports people, awareness and repetition. You've got to do it over and over and over again. If you want to build EQ, you can't just think about it from time to time. You can't just read a book on it. You've got to do it over and over again. And emotional intelligence in this instance starts with yourself, right? Celebrating yourself, being happy with yourself. And there's also affirmations that you could use, you know. There's so many affirmations. I am enough. I am worthy of love. I've got this. I'm dope. Whatever, you know, come up with your own affirmations. But it works. Because most of the time we're thinking the wrong things about us. You know, the bad things, the things that suck. Where's my pen here? I mean, if you think about it, like this is your life. And this is you. You're like this awesome, incredible, like thing of brilliant beingness. But then there's like a little smudge. And then, you know, that's you, right? But then what we do is we'll focus on that until it drives us nuts. And you'll come home and you'll say to your husband, "I've had such a cuck day because this little thing has been irritating me. But everything else was awesome. I'm awesome. The day was awesome. But this thing is driving me nuts. But look how small it is, you know, in comparison to everything that's awesome." And we got our ancient ancestors to thank for that, because they didn't think everything was awesome. They thought everything was cuck, and that's how they survived. Anyway, that's what I think of that. So anyway, home practice, and then we'll go, and I promise I won't act like an idiot anymore. No, I'm not an idiot. I'm a wonderful person. You see, mindfulness, you're going to catch yourself as you say it. Home practice is buy a really nice bar of soap. Actually, these words are incorrect. I've got to change this. Buy a really nice bar of soap, like really nice, and put it in your bathroom. And when you wash your hands, feel gratitude for what your hands do, for what you do. So when you wash your hands, take an extra minute just to turn the water off and lather your hands. Feel the nice feeling as you rub your hands over each other with the soap. and think, wow, my work is amazing. What I do for others is amazing. You know, I make sandwiches for my kids. I type emails. I write letters. I plant things. I grow things. I wipe tears away. I caress. I do this. I do that. My hands are awesome. I am awesome. So as you know, it's just celebrate yourself as you wash your hands. Your journal practice is now changing. Gratitude is now gratitude for self. So now you've got to try and find things about yourself that you're grateful for every day. Okay? And self-care is another one. How are you looking after yourself today? Every day, you got to list what you're doing to look after yourself, and then what do you love about yourself? And this is part of the rewiring, repatterning thing that we're doing of how we grow emotional intelligence in terms of self-awareness, self-management, which translates into self-compassion and self-kindness. So we're going to do the nice meditation. We're going to be doing the bar of soap, wash your hands slowly, and the journal practice. And I'll share this with you on the WhatsApp group. Are there any questions? No. Nice. Okay. There we go. Thank you. Go out and love yourselves fiercely. Until next week.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks, everyone. Cheers.
Bye now.
Bye.
Yeah.